Welcome back. Another episode of our podcast, Biz and BEVS. I'm here with the awesome, talented Catherine Bennett. She is the executive editor for Utah Business. Thank you for joining me today.
Delighted. So this is honestly such a cool moment for both of us.
I know. So, little context. I've known Catherine since basically I was born. My mom said Catherine was one of my first friends. We grew up next door neighbors in Fort Rucker, Alabama, which is the middle of southern Alabama. It's hot and humid, and our parents knew each other from school, and so I've known Catherine for a long time.
It's like we've known each other, but we haven't known each other.
Exactly.
We knew each other a long time ago, and then it was like, oh, that family you get Christmas cards from, and then suddenly, resurfaced in each other's circles, which is the coolest, funniest thing. Starting from middle nowhere, Alabama.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I know we've been like connected on like Instagram and stuff, but yeah, I mean our parents knew each other. Both of our dads did ROTC at BYU. Both of them are pilots. Your dad?
Yeah, he flew Apaches.
He flew
helicopters.
Apaches.
Yeah.
Okay, and my dad flew Blackhawks. So
coolest dads ever.
I know, yeah.
And then they joined like the corporate world, both of them.
Know.
And they probably had to we're probably reeling for a little bit. I feel like my dad was. He was like, okay, I guess I'm a desk guy now.
I know. I think that transition, and I don't know. My dad got to the point where it's like, either like if I get promoted, I'm not going to get to fly as much anyway. And I think he was tired of moving around. I mean, he served.
No, it's true.
Like he got deployed to Korea, and like my third brother was born like while he was gone. I think that really was hard. So.
Oh yeah, no, it sounds like, and our families kind of transitioned at the same time into like had a couple kids, like really young kids, and yeah, it's tough to move every 2 years. My sister actually is in the Air Force, and she's in that. She has two little boys, but they move every 2 years.
Jeez. Yeah. I mean, we've both been there. I mean, that's how
respect.
We grew up,
I respect it so much, but tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard, but. Yeah, I mean, both our parents went to BYU. So how did you end up at Utah State?
Good question. I actually have some family that is, so like some of my lineage, or like my pioneer ancestors settled some of the cities up there, like Providence, from my knowledge. And so my grandpa grew up, and grandma on my mom's side both grew up there. And my grandpa grew up on a fruit farm that's still up there, the Zollinger Fruit Farm. Wow. You can go up there, you can get a carbonated apple called a Zapple. Highly recommend. Okay. Change your life.
A Zapple.
A Zapple. So I was familiar with it. Like we would go there for family reunions and stuff like that sometimes. But honestly, I considered applying to BYU. I didn't even apply. Like I didn't apply to the U. I only applied to Utah State. I don't know. Trying to put myself back in those shoes. Honestly, I think I'm not like the best test taker. I know what my strengths are. I've always kind of known what my strengths are, and knew, I didn't have I was probably like right on the line of getting into BYU maybe. Okay. And so, but at the same time, I kind of looked at the size of the schools and just really thought, if I want to stand out or like make something of myself or do something that feels meaningful, maybe it would be easier at a small school. Okay. That was my logic at the time. It turned out it actually did pan out that way for me, which I'm really grateful for, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny. You only applied. I only applied to BYU, and I was like,
"There's only one."
Yeah, the audacity. I'm just like, I'm like looking back. I'm like, why would you do that? It just seems so dumb. And like, I mean, I'm kind of the same way. Like, I'm not the best test taker. Like, I took my ACT, and it's like the BYU average, and mine were like the exact same. Yeah. So I'm like, GPA, same thing. And I was like, you know what? Like, one and done. I hated filling out college applications too, and like just going through the process. I'm just like, I'm done. But,
and this is a totally different conversation, but I also was not, I went through some stuff the last 2 years of high school, and so I was not at the top of my game either. Okay. I was a super smart kid, did really well, and like went through, and I mean, I've done some podcasts about this and talked a little bit about it. We don't have to get into it, but yeah, I mean, that affects it too. Like sometimes you're just not where you think you are. Like, I think when I was a freshman in high school, I was like, yeah, totally, I'm applying for BYU. And actually, like, I was struggling a little bit my senior year. So I just had to figure out, like, what matched me where I was in my life. But my instincts were kind of right in going to, like, a smaller college town and, finding where I could really, like, shine there. And that was, I had print journalism was one of my majors.
Okay.
I didn't pursue it after college, but my kind of road to growing in college was I was like a writer my first year for the Utah Statesman.
Okay.
I'm not even sure like if it's printed at all now. It might be printed once a week, but it was like 3 times a week. It was intense. It was like intensive, honestly. Wow. And my sophomore year, I was like the associate news editor, and my junior year, I was the news editor, and my senior year, I was the editor in chief. And wow. It seems kind of silly because it's like, it's a college paper, like it's not that serious, but you're like reporting on crime, and you're really like digging into stuff. And more than anything, it was like my introduction to leadership, because even as a news editor, you have a team under you. Yeah. And as the editor-in-chief, you have something like 40 people, 50 people, right? It was like herding cats. Like it was, students.
Corralling a bunch of,
yes,
college
and
students.
And there's deadlines, and you've got to rally people to get something done and do it with excellence, and I really cared to do that. So it's a little hokey, but at the same time, it totally wasn't. Like it was a very real experience that like I've taken with me to now. So I'm really grateful for my Utah State experience, and totally know why people who go to Utah State are so proud to go there. And that, because you've got the BYU and the U like rivalry football, and then we're like, but wait, we're over here, and everyone's like, nobody cares, like you're not good enough at sports or whatever. But I don't know, there's a lot of pride in going there for some reason. It's just fun. It's just a great place to be. So
I've seen that too. Like you see, like people are like, oh yeah, I went to BYU. Oh, I went to Utah. But you ask anyone from Utah State, I'm an Aggie.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
an Aggie.
Oh, okay. This is so corny. We just got a dog, maybe like a month ago. It's not my favorite thing at the moment. Like I never.
What kind of dog?
Bernedoodle. We're joining the Doodle clan in Utah, but anyway, her name's Maggie.
Okay.
We were because my husband was like, I kind of want a name that's like means something, like means anything. I think his dogs growing up had some kind of meaning behind their names. And anyway, we're like, what about Aggie? Like we met there, and then we're like, no, that's like too on the nose. That's lame. And then somehow Maggie came up. So yeah, that's how proud we are. Our dogs, like loosely named after being an Aggie. So it's funny.
I like that. That's a clever name. That's good.
Yeah, it's kind of dorky is what it is, but
that's fine. Dorky doesn't mean bad, right?
Sure.
But yeah, my youngest brother went to Utah State, and he's the only one out of all the brothers, and so
really?
But he loved it. He loves he made so many good friendships up in Utah State, and
had
such a great time there. It's nice because you're far enough away, but not too far away from everything else, and it's just
totally
nice little college town.
Totally, it feels like a true escape to college, like escape from the life you had before, where you're protected in this little kind of college bubble up there. It was awesome.
Good. Well, what made you want to do print journalism then?
Great question. I wish that I had gone into college with a better understanding maybe of my whole self, but you only know as much as you can't really control that process. You learn more about yourself over time, but I did know, thanks to my fifth grade teacher, Mrs. Colton, that I was a strong writer. She kind of called me out on, I wrote something specifically, and she was like, you should read this to the class. And I remember people being receptive and I don't know, these kids really paying attention to me when I was writing it. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm okay at this. She actually sent me every Friday to this creative writing class.
Okay.
So I would leave school on Friday and just spend all day writing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That's nice. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was very, very cool. And I'm super grateful to her because I had something to latch onto. I know that I'm good at least this one thing. And I played sports and I did, but there wasn't something I felt really passionate about. And anyway, so she was a super big help to me. And I really clung on to that until I went to college. It continually, that was the thing people noticed me for.
Okay.
Down to, I think the thing I got voted best for, those dumb,
the senior superlatives or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was most likely to write or be an author or something, right? And I was it just kept falling. It wasn't I was even trying to paint myself in this way. It just kept happening. Like, you know, I think I took like a poetry class and he was like, you should, you know, put this in some competition, right? And I really enjoyed it, and I felt like it was a really cool form of expression. But I'm like, how do you do this and not become homeless? Like, you don't, right? Like, you have to be like a little bit mad to journey into the author space, you know, and like, I'm gonna write books. Like, you don't really get to do that right away.
Yeah.
We all have to make money somehow. And so I really just was like, what are the degrees I can get that have anything to do with writing? Because, and storytelling or whatever. And I actually don't like writing fiction. I like real life. Yeah. Okay. So my favorite types of books, even in high school, were creative nonfiction, where you take a real thing, but you write it in a way that makes you like it could pass as fiction. It's not like a biography. It's not dry.
Interesting.
But it kind of like pulls you into this story for real, just like a retelling of a, you know, based on a true story movie would do, where you're like,
okay.
But there's some really amazing books that do that, or they'll like tie them in. A lot of creative nonfiction will also tie in like themes. It's like story mixed with, it's like, this whole book is about meteors. Here's like some stories about that I'm going to pull you into about like when a meteor hit a woman. Like, I don't know. And then we're going to talk scientifically about what meteors mean. So anyway, clearly I love like the research behind like really digging into a topic and understanding it, but I love doing it in a way that's like being able to learn about it in a way that feels creative. So it was very specific, like what I was interested in. So journalism made sense for those reasons. Like, there's a lot, obviously you're interviewing, there's a lot of humanity in it. There's, a lot of like organizing information, which I really enjoyed. But then I had an English degree too. Like, the print journalism degree wasn't enough to fill out or like how the credits lined up. And I'm like, oh, I can actually like smash in another major in here and like graduate in 4 years. Yeah. And so I double majored. And so I took English, but like my favorite English class was nonfiction writing. So I wrote like these massive essays about who knows what, you know, and just kept going and going. And then I graduated and I was like, well, shoot, that you made the wrong choice, Catherine, because now you don't like any of these paths. Like, leaned into my strengths and then decided none of those paths were the right one. So that was horrifying.
I feel like everyone like kind of hits that realization where it's like, oh no, like you graduate from college and you're like, now what? Because I kind of did the same thing. So I did ROTC at BYU, and I remember like basically the first day they're like, all right, sit down, like you're gonna pick your major. And basically you're going to map out the next 4 years of your college experience. And I mean, I am a freshman. I am like barely 18. Like, I do not want to think about this. So like very first, like picked history, right? History is interesting. Like, I enjoy learning about history and all that stuff. And it kind of ties along with like the whole military aspect. And then I got back from my mission. I was like, I don't want to do history because I can't really do anything with that. And one of my roommates was like, well, I'm doing political science. I was like, all right, I'll do political science too. Because, I mean, that sounds cool. And then I graduated. And I was like, I hate politics so much. Like, I have a political science degree. And it's like, I don't want to go to law school. I definitely don't want to get into politics. And so
what did you do?
So I ended up like, I mean, it took me a while to graduate, right? I was dealing with like some like health stuff, some like depression stuff, and so
it sounds like we were kind of aligned.
I know.
What
was in the water at Fort Rucker?
For real.
I mean, yeah, my existential crisis came after, you know, college instead of. But yeah, I was dealing with like some health stuff. I couldn't end up commissioning, and so yeah, I took some time off, kind of like recenter and kind of like figure stuff out. Like, graduated, and then I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I was like married, and I mean, bless my wife's heart, she like stuck with me through all of like graduating and stuff and like figuring out. But I ended up going to work for like Planet Fitness. I was a general manager at Planet Fitness for 3 years. And then I went and did construction for a year, and then I worked for this company called Travel Pass for a little bit, and now I'm here. So it's like weird, like the past, like,
yeah, it is weird.
Because I mean, you go from like print journalism, and now you're like, I mean, it kind of makes sense though.
Well,
you're the
this is like my full circle moment though. Like, I'm doing something I never, like a couple years ago, it wasn't in my trajectory like at all.
Yeah, how did you get here? Because I mean, I know you started your own business, and like, and you said you kind of just like slid into the.
Yeah, so I actually never talk about the like 9 months in between graduating from Utah State and then getting a marketing job. So we moved down to Utah County so that my husband could finish his degree at BYU.
Okay.
He's a lot smarter than me. he went into finance, and so we were doing that. He was working at like a credit union down there, and I just had to find a job. So I actually had like a side gig with the Daily Herald, like the newspaper down there.
Okay.
And I had like a city beat, so I would like go cover a specific Cedar Hills.
Really?
Yeah, but it was a very short amount. Maybe like 6, 7, 8 months.
Okay.
I think I got paid $20 per story. So you
Really?
spend like 5 hours.
And you get paid $20.
Yeah, but then I discovered, they'll let me take pictures. So if I take my own pictures, I get $10 per picture. So I can make $40 whole. So that experience did not instill in me. It made me real. You've made the right decision, Catherine. If like, do not. Journalism is like it's not where you're not going to be valued there. I actually believed I was more valuable. I guess I felt like the things I was good at could be applied somewhere else, like and be more valued in the marketplace. So I was doing that, but it was just kind of like a hobby job, like on the side. And I was the academic advisor for a massage school, which really was like I was taking attendance, I was grading papers, like it's what I could find. Okay. And I think it paid $12 an hour, something like that. Like graduated from college. It was also, it was like 2012. So, I mean, that wasn't like a great period, like years to be in college. I feel like jobs were kind of difficult. We were maybe coming out of the recession. Like
the 2008 stuff.
Yeah. So I felt like, but it's interesting looking back now because a lot of the companies I was also applying to at the same time, like I'm interviewing them now, and I didn't get jobs with them like when I graduated, right? And so that's like a little bit makes me feel like
you're like
I'm so glad we're past that. But yeah, when I was working at this massage school, it was again like very clear, I think, to me and to everyone else there that like I did not belong in that job because I was just like restless. I was like, this can't be it. I have to do more. Like I have to make an impact here. And so I was like, can I create a newsletter for this like little campus of, rooms? And they were like, I mean, sure. Like you got some time on your hands? Like, sure. And then I was like, can I teach some of the development, like professional development classes? Can I teach people resume writing? And they were like, actually, yeah, no one's good at that here. So I think after about 8 months, the guy that was my supervisor was like, you should start looking for another job. Not like he was trying to kick me out, but he was like it was almost like you're above this. It's clear that you're, I don't know. So I started applying for jobs. I got my first marketing job from there, and it was the coolest experience. It was a company called Synergy Worldwide, which was an MLM, or it is an MLM, a sister company of Nature Sunshine. So Nature Sunshine has a big office in Lehigh, like right off the freeway. And I was doing everything from like taking people down to the manufacturing facility in Spanish Fork and like giving them tours of the factory. But then I was the regional communications manager when I got there, marketing communications manager. And then about a year later, I was the global communications manager.
Wow.
And there were lots of countries involved. So I was able to like prove myself pretty quickly, luckily. But we got to travel a little bit. I was like the one backstage miking the CEO, like not miking him up, but making sure the programming was kind of working with my supervisor on that. I had a team of translators that I was like, this is a more economic way to do this. We're going to hire contract, freelance translation in country. So it's really good translation. And so I would write something and then it would, go out on all these different blogs. And like we had a blog for every country, and it was just managing communications with this company and all these people in different countries. It was really cool. I'm really grateful. And I learned so much about brand there. I became a copywriter, really like a self-taught, like true, like sales copywriter there, and worked with graphic designers. And I was like, dang, I found it. Like, this is it.
This is what you want to do.
This is how I apply like what I'm good at, from like leadership down to, concepting a story, because there's so much story in marketing, right? Yeah. Like into a place that feels like of high value for me. So And it just clicked, and I was doing really well. And then I had kids, and the corporate world was like, no, this is not going to work out. Just kidding. I wanted flexibility. I didn't want the 9 to 5 at the time. I wanted to feel that, like, when you have your first kid, you're at least like, I need to, like, kind of ease into what I want here now. Yeah. It's hard to just be like, well, yeah, we're doing daycare and I'm going back to work. For me, I was like, I need to feel this out. I need to understand, like, what's the right balance for me. And I don't even know if I like being at home. Like, not that that's what you should base being a mom, like liking it or not, but I don't know if I like being the at-home caregiving person all the time. I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. So that led to me starting my own business.
Okay.
Yeah.
You started your own business. I mean, you did marketing with that as well, right?
Yeah. It's called Backpack Marketing. I came up with the name because I just grew up being a nature girl, and I loved the idea of, like, being scrappy. Like, I was a scrappy marketer helping startups and small or growing service businesses. So, I was definitely not like a big agency where you're paying like 10,000, 20,000, 30, I was trying to, but also I was brand new to it. I had no idea what I was doing, as most of us that start, businesses. I did it out of necessity. Also, around that time, my husband decided he did not like the career he went into. He rerouted that and went back to school to become a software engineer. Okay. So that's also an interesting topic right now. But he was in school full time for like 9 months to a year. I can't remember. So we didn't actually have an income. Like, I had like a few jobs, but I was like, oh, I have to make this work. Now we have a 2-year-old and a newborn, and we can't afford childcare, and we have no income. Or we had like very minimal income. So I was like, this has to work. Like, I've got to go. But luckily, at the same time I transitioned into that, someone that I worked with at my previous job recommended that I be like a fractional marketing director for a startup. Okay. And that, like, really sustained my whole family, like that one job, because it was enough time, hours. And then it was like with that one client, it was my first time asking, like, I was just so sheepish going into it. I'm like, well, you can pay me like $20 an hour. I don't know. I was just trying to make it, somewhat level with what I was making in my salary. But maybe I probably even went down because I'm like, oh, well, I'm a mom now and I can't work on your time. So what am I worth? Like, I had no idea. I was clueless. I just was desperate to have something. Yeah. And so I remember I worked for them for a couple months, and I was like, I think I'm worth more than this. And I just asked, and he was like, and he doubled the amount. I was like, what about this? And I'm like, yeah, that's great.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
But then from there, it was just building belief in myself and that I could do this, and getting better and better at it, and increasing that value along with it as I got new clients and things like that. So it was cool. And I built a multiple 6-figure. It wasn't, I'm not like one of those companies that can say, oh yeah, like multiple millions, and that wasn't my goal. My goal was just like to sustain my family during that period, and then it just ended up blessing my family after that. Like, it kept us, like, protected us, and then it blessed us. So, wow. Yeah.
What was it like doing that, being like a new mom? Like, I mean,
okay, so I'll tell you. The one thing that saved, like, the biggest resource, I think it's the biggest gift that I received, and it doesn't exist anymore. It was at the time called the Lady Bird Society. These 2 women purchased a space above Tony Caputo's downtown. Oh, wow. Yeah. So there was like some stairs. You went up right to the left of Caputo's, up the stairs into that door, and it was this co-working space, like, specifically for women and moms. Wow. And it had a daycare. Ooh. I know.
That's that's the dream. Like,
insane.
You'd never hear that anymore. Like,
it's just doesn't even exist. I mean, there are, like, companies that provide daycare, and there's some other solutions that are out there, but they couldn't keep it going. I think it went out of business like in a year. So it Jeez. I had it for that year.
Like so lightning in a bottle.
My day when I had those 2 little kids was, I'd wake up, I'd get them ready, like, we'd do our morning thing, we'd be out the door, and I would drive from Centerville to Salt Lake and unload them. We'd go into this co-working space. they would take my kids for, I think, up to 3 hours.
Okay.
So maybe from like 9 to 12, I was like cramming on stuff, just like go, go, go. They had like a mother's room, like you could, if you needed to like a nurse, I don't know. There was just, they really thought through, like, I don't know. I don't even, it almost feels like it didn't happen. Like it's not even real because
like
it was like the
dream.
perfect, seriously, because it was the perfect timing and what I needed exactly. Anyway, so I feel like those 3 hours in the morning, I just went hard. Like I got as much done as I could. I closed some clients like while I was in there. I did some like pretty heavy lifting work in those 3 hours in the morning. Like I just took it really seriously because in my mind, like, this is all I have.
Yeah.
But then I'd take them home, my kids home after that, and then they'd have a nap. So I was like, I got 2 more hours. Like, so now I've got 5 hours today. And then my husband would come home from work, or not work, from school at like 4. So then they'd be up and we'd like hang out from 2 to 4. And then when my husband came home, I'm like, okay, see ya. I'm gonna go sit at my desk. Like that was. I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, it's helpful to just like understand what that looks like and how that actually works. And then as it grew, that was kind of the cadence of how it worked. And then I just started increasing my hours at night, which, not awesome for marriage, but when you're just cranking it out, you just do it.
Yeah.
And it was those night hours, and I still can't get out. Like that habit, I cannot break that habit. Like I'm like, oh, but there's such, I don't know. I'm trying to currently work through my issue with like, but I'm not doing anything meaningful right now. Like I need to do something meaningful at all hours of the day. And that's annoying. I'm an annoying person to be because of that. Yeah.
That's not annoying. I mean, it's a good habit to have. Honestly, I probably should be more like that because, I mean, my wife is very much like that. And she's like when I grew up, like if I was sleeping in past 8 o'clock, like, I mean, I was being lazy, and it's like, I'm like, look, it's okay to like relax and you can like chill and like take some time and just do something for yourself. Like go read or paint or go for a walk or go hang out with your friend, like whatever. And I mean, it's been good because she's helped like balance me out. I've helped balance her out.
Same,
I mean, it's
same
just,
story. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like same kind of thing though. Like when your head's down, you're like grinding and stuff. Like sometimes it's hard
Yeah,
to,
especially when there's momentum. Like if you have
Exactly.
momentum, it's like, oh, we're just going to stop right here. Like it doesn't even feel like an option in the moment. So
yeah, the momentum just like carries you through and it's like, hey, it's 1 o'clock, it's 2 o'clock. You should probably go to bed.
I know.
And it's like, you're like, I should, but also I could finish this. And
But there were some cool pivot moments though too, where I maybe landed 2 or 3 more like decent decent sized clients. I'm like, I can afford childcare now. And so then I started investing, like, while some might invest their money back into the business, I'm like, I got to pay for childcare.
Yeah.
So we're going to take this client's, money and we're going to get some help. But at first I just had someone for a half day, like come, well, that company like went out of business. And so I had to fill that in with something else. And anyway, and that's when it really started to pick up. I'm like, I can see how this works. Like this is my time with my kids. This is my time for my business during the day. And then I would just crank at night and just get it done. But the hardest, and I don't know when or if this will ever change, but I will say the hardest kind of period that I've experienced in my career. There's been some hard stuff with like the growth of this last year and me dealing with myself in this job. But I remember a specific night where I had this like website copy and like a wireframe for a website due. Like I promised the client it would be done. And so it's like, well, you hit the deadline. I'm not going to be like, oh, I need that's just not me. So I'm like, I stayed up until 4. But I was like pretty postpartum. I mean, I had just a baby maybe like a month before that.
oh, wow.
And so I'm cranking to get this website done. And I remember like rolling into bed at like 4:30, like it's done. Okay. Like I did it, and having like screaming newborn at like 5. And that just felt like that period of my life where you're just like, you just kind of feel like a worn out rag kind of. You're just like living to serve and build and just get it done. And now we're on the other side of that. So it feels great. So everything else honestly there's times like I feel like really stressed, right? About, is this going to pan out? Are we going to be able to execute on this really well? And I compare my life now to that. And I'm like, yeah, this is easy. Like, this is not a big deal. it was those like quiet moments behind closed doors that no one else was experiencing with me, where I was growing myself. I was trying to figure out how to be a mom. I was trying to figure out how to be a business owner. I was so tired and ragged and like just a ball of emotions. And yeah, I'm like grateful for that because it made me like, it really thickened my skin, like really did.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, when you're going through it too, it probably, it's like you said, you're rolling into bed at 4:30, newborn's waking up at 5. I mean, that's,
not ideal.
It's not
ideal.
yeah, for your health in any form or fashion. And yeah, new parents, like it's rough just being a new parent, but also trying to do your own business at the same time. Like that's rough. That sounds brutal. Like it makes me tired just thinking about it.
I think the other thing too is like for me, life has just unraveled for me. Like everything has come together kind of one after the next. So the fact that I started a business, I wouldn't have had the guts to do that. Okay, sorry. I left a little bit of a gap here. So I actually was having some infertility struggles like while I was in that first marketing job. We were like thinking, should we start our family? And it took maybe it was like I had been at this company for 3 years, was really feeling like heavy about not being able to figure out what was going on. And I decided I just needed something else to take my mind off of it. So I decided to go to grad school. And so I was going to work and then I'd drive downtown and go to school. And literally 3 months into being grad school, I found out I was pregnant for no reason whatsoever. Like we'd already done like some treatments and stuff and they didn't work. And then suddenly I'm like locked into this thing, locked into school. I felt like mentally, emotionally, like I'd committed to this thing. And now I have a full-time job and I'm pregnant and like super sick. And then, but I got through that. We had the baby, we graduated. And then my capstone project for grad school was hosting a copywriting boot camp for women entrepreneurs. It was like a 7-hour intensive, like, I'm just gonna teach you everything I know.
Wow.
And I had to like recruit the women to get there, and we did like lunch. It was great, and it was such a cool experience. But it gave me this like I wonder if I could build something, and put some people in my life. One is her name's Crystal Lee Beck. She owns the Mama Ladder and Comma Copywriters. Okay. She's like the biggest champion for working moms and figuring out that balance. And I met her through that, through trying to get people to come to this boot camp. And she taught me, like, she instilled the confidence in me, and I actually paid her. Like, she was my first investment in myself as an entrepreneur to kind of help me walk through how to set this business up. And anyway, so if one of those things like hadn't happened in that order, like I would have made different decisions, right? Yeah. And so started the business. I obviously learned business really, like I learned business inside and out. I was experiencing it, the pains of it, whatever. And then I decided I had a client offer me, or a potential client say, oh, we can't hire you. Like, we need someone in-house. And then I was kind of sharing, I'm like, well, in the meantime, I do some fractional work, like if you need help. And they're like, actually, can we go to lunch? Met them. And then that job is where I was discovered for this job, because I was being loud and obnoxious about Utah manufacturing and how cool it is, which no one else was really doing. So you just never know. Like, the way that the I don't know, your life like kind of plays cards is really weird, and sometimes not what you could ever imagine. That's true. That is, that's very true. Also, you can open your drink. Oh my gosh, yeah. Business, okay, thank you. I'm talking too much, and no, I was like, my throat's getting dry. Like, but I mean, you can't have the BEVS in just the business, Oh, it cuts so good every time. I love it. Diet Coke. It's so basic. It's like I'm just embarrassed to even share. Like, well, I'm Utah, like Diet, just fitting the stereotype. I'm a Utah diehard. I'm fitting the stereotype. So, see, oh well. I mean, it is what it is. It's real. It's a stereotype, the love is real. For a reason. I mean, Diet Coke. I mean, see, I can't really get behind like the artificial flavor behind it. This is like just the most random tangent, but it kind of, it's like I just rather just drink normal Coke. But I've also been I don't know. There's something about the normal Coke that I just don't love. But there have been times, like mostly when I've been pregnant, you know, you like
Get your
experience
cravings.
weird things. Wasn't even cravings. I like tasted layers of things that I didn't normally taste. So I'm like, that's disgusting. Like,
Whoa.
so I think people who don't like it have like their senses are unlocked in a way that us peasants aren't, you know? So you're very refined, Rum, is really what I'm saying.
I mean, I guess. I mean, I'm drinking Sprite. The only reason I got like the Sprite though is like, well, I'm trying to like cut back on caffeine because I drink way too much. Like, especially like.
Good for you. I should follow in your footsteps.
I mean, I'm only like 2 weeks so far, but I mean.
You're 2 weeks sober.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, so we have one son. He's almost 2, and like right around the time like I was going back to work after like paternity leave, I was just pounding energy drinks. And you just kind of like get in that habit, you know, where it's like, all right, like why am I drinking this? It's like, well, basically you're drinking it because you have a headache, and the reason you have a headache is because you haven't been drinking it. And it's just like this compounding problem. I was like, at this point, I'm just drinking it for love of the game, and it's like,
So how do you feel? 2 weeks out.
This last week has been pretty trying because my toddler, he's almost 2, has like his eye teeth coming in, and so he's been waking up at night, and we've got like another one due in September, and
no way.
I'm hoping I get to the point where it's like caffeine will actually do something again.
I heard like orange juice helps. I don't know.
It's like the sugar. I mean,
well, yeah, it must be. There's some vitamins in there that are good for you.
Yeah.
But I also have heard like people that just pound water when they wake up.
I mean,
really helps them all day.
Probably is.
I hate water. I wish I liked it.
You hate water? How do you hate water? Like, water's the OG.
It's because I have a problem. That's why. I shouldn't hate water. Hey, if I'm like in a wilderness and I need water, I will drink it. Just kidding. I drink water. But
it's like the sign says like 1 mile to like water and like 2 miles to Diet Coke. You're going the 2 miles route. Like,
yeah, unfortunately. I like to hike though, so.
You just got a Diet Coke in your backpack for when you hike.
Well, no. Okay, no. That
you draw the line there.
I draw the line there. That just feels like outwardly unhealthy.
You're like undoing all the progress from hiking.
Yeah, that seems to not fit. So, hey, never say never. I don't know. Maybe the next hike, switch it up and bring a Diet Coke.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
But no, when I'm like, you know, I'm like genuinely exhausted and like sweating, I'm like, I need water. Like, I don't crave a Diet Coke in that moment.
Interesting.
So.
It's like when you're tired, you're like, I want water.
Yeah, my body's like, girl, get it together. I'm telling you that we need some water right now.
Yeah. I mean, Diet Coke's good though. There's a reason people love Diet Coke. And it's but yeah, I guess circling back. So now you're at Utah Business.
Yep.
I mean, and you're doing a lot of stuff to help promote women in business, which is awesome. Like, I mean, you're really kind of like paying it forward. You're like, hey, here's like the lessons I've learned, and like, let's use my platform to promote some good.
Yeah, I think I will say first and foremost, my goal, and my predecessor did a really good job of this, and so it's important to me, and we're similar in a lot of ways, and just representing all that Utah Business is. And so I've been really intentional about, you know, even just when we're writing or we're assigning stories or we're looking at what's going on, like founder stories and things, that there is like an equal representation of everyone, even though, you know, women don't take up as much of that ratio. I don't know. I do feel a responsibility to make sure people can be seen and that the platform is a place for everyone. Where I think it's easy, actually, it's interesting being on this side and seeing the emails that come in and how easy it is to just kind of react to what people are feeding you and say, oh, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, like, let's do that. And then before you know it, you've spent a whole month talking about tech companies and ignored everyone else because you just see what's coming to you. It's easy to just let things flow to you. It's harder to be intentional with relationships and making sure you're kind of in all these pockets geographically and industry-wise. But yeah, I mean, coming in, women to watch, or it used to be called 30 Women to Watch. Now we've kind of put both women's events together. And so that's like one of the things. And then I went into that event going, how do we make this even bigger or more fun or more like energy. And so we did some extras with that, like inviting women's kind of startup or women who are with small businesses that are growing, like participate or like even sell, like mildly. It wasn't like we didn't turn it into Pinners Conference or anything, but to just be there to celebrate. Like, I guess everything that we do is we just want to celebrate all the good that's being done. We're not the publication that is like, here's all the layoffs that happened. We'll tackle like a hard problem. Like, we'll look at something that's like, people clearly have something to say about this, but it's all definitely like very solutions focused.
Okay.
So we're not it's very much it's a magazine. It's not we're not the Salt Lake Trib or the Deseret News in that sense. So yeah.
I mean, that's good though. I mean,
when you have events and you're awarding people and celebrating people, like it doesn't really work in the business model to shame someone in an article, right? That doesn't work.
It's very true.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I feel like there's just so much negativity in the world. It's in general, like you turn on the news, you read the newspaper, or even like LinkedIn's got their little news thing, and it's just so like more often than not, just kind of dour and depressing. It's nice that there's like a beacon, I guess, of like positivity and kind of like highlighting the good that's happening in the state and not just.
Yeah. And I want to say too, like, I'm very aware at the same time that like Utah's not perfect. Like, we have a lot of things we need to fix and focus on. And we'll start the conversation around maybe some of those, especially when we do kind of our community events, and we're really intentional about like, we probably should have someone talk about this thing. But yeah, it's like if we're introducing a problem, we need to find someone who's working to solve it. What I'm after. So.
No, I mean, that makes sense, because if you're just introducing a problem but not really doing anything about it, you're just complaining, right? And that's kind of.
Thank you. That's true.
And don't get me wrong, like, I love like ironic complaining for them. Like, all right, let's you'll sit there and like complain, and you're like, oh, this sucks, blah blah blah, and they're like, all right, and you like kind of like lean forward
and get it done.
Let's
get
it done.
Totally. No, Utah Business it's a cool platform. I'm very fortunate to kind of take over and honestly to bring my marketing background. Like, I'm a marketer, like to bring that into journalism, business journalism is interesting right now with AI, with kind of questions around it, with, vertical video has been a thing for a while now. I think Utah Business was like a little behind the game there. And the way I just see telling a story is, if we really want to do the most good with Utah Business, we need to look at the story and go, where can I amplify this the most? We're still testing and figuring that out, but that's where, if I have a story that's about a CPG brand, it's likely going to do better if I'm pairing it with like vertical video on Instagram versus like going hard on LinkedIn to promote this story. But at the same time, this one that's like a very kind of tech heavy one about rocket propellant or something does better on other channels, right? Like, it's going to flop hard on Instagram unless you have a talking head video of someone sharing that information, right? If you just have a static graphic that's like,
people have to swipe through and
it's not like, we don't have stories that are necessarily like shocking that it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to click through to see that. It's like, oh, that's really cool. And there's a lot of really cool stuff that people are still like, I don't like need to know that though, right? So it's like, how do I make this richer of an experience for the person consuming it, so that you don't have to necessarily click to our website to like get the full thing. Like, you can, and then that changes the way that we measure things too, right? Because I think before, probably at the beginning it was like, well, how many people are subscribing to the magazine? And then it was like, okay, we have a website now, so how many engaged minutes, how long are people staying on the site? And now I'm like, is that the only thing we measure? And I think it's like that matters, but also the engagement itself on social platforms is like being lumped into that greater like engagement statistic that we're after.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, I guess the question we've had is like, is the website the end all be all? Like with AI, the way it is, I don't think so. I think that you can have someone, there are likely people who will just follow us on a social channel and like never quite make it onto the site. Now, I don't think that's necessarily what we want. We have like a customer journey that's, we hope they travel through all the platforms and all the, our podcast and all these different things, and nominate people for our events and attend our events and all of that. Like we want like really loyal audience members, but I think we have to realize we just have to meet people where they are. And Utah's business audience is very diverse, obviously. Like business is everything and everywhere. And how do you, so that's the big question. How do we tap into more of those audiences that would appreciate being part of this kind of community and the content we create.
Interesting. Because, Utah Business, it did start as a magazine, right? Like a print. And do you still do print as well?
Every month.
Okay.
Every month. So the magazine is an important part of our events. It's interesting, like the true, like dorky marketing term, but like the flywheel of Utah Business is pretty interesting because without the magazine, even though people don't like necessarily purchase a magazine, especially like a millennial or younger, though they're not willing to invest $50 in like a yearly subscription, they still value the brand.
Okay. Like
heavily value the brand because of the events. And so we have to have content that validates the brand so that the events can be validated by the brand.
Interesting. It's kind of like a...
Yeah, it's hard.
That's like, I'm like trying to like...
I could do like a whole diagram presentation of how this all feeds. But every single thing we do, if we got rid of the magazine, which I hope we don't, and we're still going and figuring it out. But at the same time, I think it's clear like print products are not the moneymaker in our world today. And so people will still though say, "Oh, you work for Utah Business Magazine," or they'll introduce me as working for Utah Business Magazine. She works for the magazine, and I'm like, "Oh, that's like a product under Utah Business." That's the way that we see it operating. Seeing all the different things that we do and that we are building, it's more like a platform, a media, like almost like not a full-fledged media company, but we create a lot of media. And so I'd almost say like we're an event company if you look at our how our revenue model works, right?
Interesting.
But we do have I think it's cool with such a lean team. We're able to get a lot done. We do publish a new piece of content every day, which I think for a small team is, I'm proud. I'm proud of that because we do want you to get something in your inbox every day from us. And I think right now it's just refining that and actually probably valuing the newsletter more than it has been in the past.
Okay.
So that's not like an announcement or anything, but there's just a lot of things to consider right now with what people value and where, because they value the storytelling, they value the platform. I think it would be a gap. It would be a hole to not have Utah Business. It has like a strengthening effect on like uniting industries and people together. And there's been like a lot of cool like collaborations that have come from people just meeting each other at like we're doing a photo shoot for CEO of the Year, and you've got the CEO of Leighton Construction, the CEO of Minky Couture, the CEO of Maverick, the CEO, right? Like Intermountain Health, and they're all just chumming it up. They're like, how's it? I mean, there are very few jobs where you can like witness that, and they're and they're connected, and they're maybe not those specific people, but many of them are like they're working together, or they have a project, or like get on each other's radars from those experiences. So I think those will all just continue to be really valuable, and we're just pivoting other things around it to see how to support that kind of community building, strengthening effort even better.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Cause with Utah Business, it's like we talked about earlier. Like I see, like I look on like LinkedIn or like your posts and stuff, and you're like everywhere. I'm like, it baffles me, especially because I'm not very good at LinkedIn. it's like Catherine is like talking with this person, or she's connected with this person. I'm like going through like connections you may know, and like you're on like almost every single one. Yeah. And like it's cool that I mean you get like every single echelon, like from the CEOs, like, you know, base level people. But I mean also you've got to interview some like celebrities, right? Like I mean I saw like you did something with Ty Burrell recently.
Oh yeah. Utah Business he was on our cover a couple of years ago. Talking about the bars that he owns in Salt Lake. And so we already kind of had that under our belts, but then it was a nonprofit he works with that reached out to us and was like, hey, here's this thing. Well, when you have a celebrity and you know how it's going to drive engagement, there's a little more flexibility there with like what kind of story you're willing to take, I guess I'll say. I'm like, how much can I say about that? Because it's even going back to like newsroom 101, like what are the things that make a story worth telling? Like one of the key principles is celebrity. You know, you look at the stuff that like E! News produces and you're like, that's news? Yeah. Well, yeah, it is because this famous person did it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when we got that email from Ty Burrell's team kind of promoting, being like, hey, can we give you an interview? We're like, yes. You can, and whatever he wants to talk about, we will talk about. And not necessarily, like, we're going to shift it and ask questions that shape it to our audience. Obviously, we talked with him about food waste, which is applicable to his businesses that he's involved in. And an interesting issue, especially with, like, water. It relates to water conservation. It relates to a bunch of things. Some of the other, like, homelessness or like food scarcity, like the way that issue kind of shaped out, we were like, okay, like this works. If it was something off the wall and just totally, like, I think what they actually wanted us to do originally was promote an event, which we don't do because so many people ask us to promote their events. And so it would just be a mess. Yeah. If we did do that. And so we're like, we're not going to do that, but what if we did this instead? And they were like, okay, yeah, that's good. But yeah, it is really cool. It's a very cool, unique job in that you just kind of the world suddenly opens up because you have this platform that you can facilitate, you know, sharing what people are doing on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, and there brings you back to your journalism stuff, right? You like interview people, you talk
to
people and stuff it's just...
I actually traveled down to Cedar City last week to like actually go meet people in person and write a story about something. You know, we'll see how long stuff like that lasts. And I'm just so curious right now with AI, what people are going to continue to value with writing. We use AI. Like, we don't write our stuff entirely with AI, but we use it as like a true tool. Like, what's a better headline for this? Like, how can I wrap this up better? Like, but we're not the reality is you have primary sources you're getting information from, like it's original content. And now I'm seeing more AI theft, right? Like AI is just scraping our stuff, other people's stuff, and saying like, here's this article about the same thing that you just wrote about. It's obviously, you know, a duplicate. We're taking the fact that you did all the work and we're going to repurpose it as our own. And if that was outed, right? Like, hey, do you see the similarities in this story? Like and I think at the end of the day, it's like trust. How much does trust matter to people? Does it matter to you that you trust that I don't know. Like, do you value something original, or do you think, someone can just like regurgitate that, or will people be just like, is it off-putting just knowing that there's theft, right?
Yeah. Someone
did this work and then you're ripping it off. I think it's one thing to like speed up your financial processes or something. Maybe if it's something that you're allowed to have, like data you're allowed to have, and you're riffing on it and making it better and creating models around it. Yeah. That makes sense to me. If you're using someone else's work for your personal gain and being like, none of this matters. Like this content, all this content's free. Like it has to come from somewhere. It came from someone had an idea And it's just, it's a frustrating, interesting time.
Yeah.
But also it just makes me want to lean even harder into video, because right now it's pretty obvious to see what a fake video. I'm curious.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm preaching to the choir on that. So
I know. I was like, sometimes we'll go through and like look at video and stuff and be like, all right, can you see where AI was used here? Or can you see, like, tell if this is AI and not? And like, kind of the crazy thing is, AI is getting pretty good at duplicating stuff. I mean, you used to, like, a year ago, like, he was still messing up hands and stuff, and now you're getting like complex gestures. And especially, I mean, working for Moto Studios, I mean, we do video and photo to like production, and so a lot of people are taking kind of the easy way out, and they're like, oh, like, well, we want to make a video or a photo with AI and just generate it that way. I mean, luckily people, it's like you said, like, it's like kind of the authenticity, that trust, and kind of the truth behind it, right? Like AI could sure like replicate this, but it's not like the real thing. And like I see, like, I mean, I don't do any of like the editing or photo and stuff like that. It's just so outside of my wheelhouse. Like, I mean, my wife like takes pictures of me and my son, like, it looks great and stuff. And then I try and take pictures, and she can't do it.
She's like, you are fired.
She's like, yeah, like, I mean, bless her heart. She's very patient with me because I'm terrible at taking pictures. And I say, like, bless her heart, like, seriously, not like the Southern way. It's like, oh, bless her heart. But yeah, I mean, just like seeing what they do, like, I mean, you met Caleb, Benson, Will, Caitlin's doing a shoot right now. I mean, they're like, oh, like, what if we do this, or like switch out this lens, or change like the light and stuff, and like, or they're like editing like a movie, like a video right now. They're like, oh, like, I added like these little touches and stuff. I'm like, I never would have noticed that. But it's like those like little things that kind of like add that authenticity, and something that, I mean, at least currently, like, AI just can't replicate, How
do you sell that then to, like, because you're on the business development side?
Yeah.
So how do you talk to your clients or prospects about AI, and what are they looking for too? Sorry, I'm like interviewing you now.
I know.
Really
I mean, it's a good question. I mean, a lot
can't
of them,
help it.
I mean, luckily, like, a lot of them have products that like they want to shoot, right? Like, hey, we need a photo of this, and at least currently, like, I actually was talking with someone about this last week. Like, how can you trust an AI video of a product? It's like, oh, like, you have a person drinking Sprite and they're like, this is so good. But like a real person, if like Sprite tasted like garbage, like, wouldn't, like, it's kind of like the whole, like, you remember like the burger wars from like a few months ago, where like the McDonald's CEO like took like the smallest bite of like a burger. Did you see that?
No, I did not see
that.
Oh
my gosh.
Man, I'm missing out.
Like, I mean, I don't know. I just, like, the internet takes me to random places. But yeah, like, there's this whole thing, like, the CEO of McDonald's like taking a bite of like their new like burger or something. It's like the tiniest bite, and everyone's like clowning him and stuff. Then it started this whole thing where like the Wendy's CEO is like taking like this huge bite and stuff, and like it escalated into like this whole thing where it's like other CEOs are just trying to like outdo each other and stuff. And it's like AI, like it's like, oh, this burger's super good, but it's an AI person eating an AI burger. Like, it's fake, How can you trust that? And like, if you want something that's real, it's like, if you want to see people like actually using your product, like, it instills that trust, it instills that confidence, and makes people want to purchase that.
But if AI keeps, like you're saying, like, it's believable, like, it's so good that I don't actually know if that's a real person. Like, that could be the McDonald's CEO.
It could be.
But then it just becomes an ethical question, right?
Yeah.
Like, it looks just as good and just as believable, which supposedly, right, we'll get there. I don't know, at some point. I feel like at the root of all of this, we're just asking ethics questions.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious to see, like, how that, like, I hope, and goes back to, it's human first AI.
Yeah.
And if that's true, and we really are leaning into human first, which we, in my opinion, should for ethical reasons. What are the guardrails where people like know and like, I'm just even thinking about the lawsuits that are going to happen just for years and years, like unending, because they're like, oh, this person ripped my thing off. This person ripped, I'm tired already thinking about it, but I really hope that we are able to set those guardrails, because like, human creation is valuable.
Yeah.
Like, And it's so nuanced too, because there are some things that humans create right now, especially like with maybe more on like a numbers side or more data side, that I'm like, yeah, I mean, I can see, like, as someone who really dislikes doing math, that's a massive value to me.
Yeah.
But then someone on the other side who's like, yeah, I don't even like to read. I don't care. I don't know, like, that they wouldn't care if any of their stuff was like, if everything they read was AI, because it's just feeding them exactly what they need.
Yeah.
So we're in such an interesting, like, could talk about this for such a long time. Just what happened, like, what if statements. But I think on the Utah business side, like, we're seeing how it feels to have your stuff ripped off.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It totally sucks.
It sucks. And I think, I mean, luckily, like, we live in a state that's pretty pro AI. I mean, Governor Cox has put forth some legislation, but I think, like, we're kind of at a point where AI is inevitable. And so it's kind of like you said, like, putting those guardrails to make sure it's like human first and kind of protects intellectual property and stuff like that, so that, like you said, people aren't getting ripped off and people know that what they're seeing isn't real.
And trust, yeah. And that's the thing. The question I have is, if you see someone do something really similar to what we did, and it's clear that it's AI, and then you have something that we did that's clearly not.
Yeah.
What is that? Do you automatically? I don't know. Do people care?
I think people. I think people care.
I think people care.
And I think what you're going to see is, like, you know, like you see like pharmaceutical ads. It's like paid actors. Like, these aren't real, you know, users or whatever. Like, whatever medicinal name. You'll see like, this is AI generated content or stuff like that. Like, kind of flagged. But I think people are pretty quick to call it out. I mean, there's like the Coca-Cola commercial, like, over Christmas, there was like AI, and like all the trucks had like different wheels and stuff. And people are like on Instagram or social media, like, calling out, like, this is AI slop. Yeah. Like, and so
the brand trust question is very interesting to me, for sure.
Exactly.
Like, yeah. I just imagine, for me, I know that I can only speak for myself. I look at a commercial like that and I go, lame. Yeah. You know, that's my first reaction is like, I just don't care. I mean, the minute I start seeing too much AI, I just lose all interest. But I also realize, like, I'm rooted in a very, like, my whole career has been rooted in, like, a very human-centric approach. Like, it's because I care. Like, I find people fascinating. I find their journeys from, you know, the rags to riches story is the best story there is. Like, and we all have that to a degree, right? Like, we all have that. We're all becoming every day. And I like to talk about this a lot, but we grow constantly. Like, that's the whole point of this. And so and I've also heard a lot, like, AI or on different podcasts about how AI is removing friction from our lives. And that's a problem. Like, that in itself is a problem to us, like, actually learning. And so, yeah, this gets real deep for me real fast.
I was like,
because I'm like, no, I'm actually contemplating, like, the purpose of life when you start talking about AI. So I'm like, isn't the purpose for us to learn to face friction? And we will continue to even with AI. Like, it's not, there's some things you can't avoid, but we're removing, and that's been the last hundreds of years, right? We continue to figure out ways to remove friction. But if you're removing friction in thinking, like the way that you think, it's like, okay, removing friction so I don't get the plague, like, because I have good health, like, there's healthcare, and that seems like a good thing, but we've, like, advanced so far into, well, what are just the hard things for me to think about? Let's just not do that.
I mean, yeah, it's like, that's
what does that result in? It's
like, we remove friction on some things, but it creates a struggle somewhere else. And
yes, it's absolutely.
It'll be interesting to see the effects of it. And
or like for our kids.
Yeah.
Do they learn in the same? I mean, I've heard so many theories about what this could look like, but I'm like, my kids better struggle through writing an essay, because that's how they think. That's how they learn how to think and process how they think and what they believe and how they see the world. Like, people hate that process.
Oh, yeah.
But you learn so much in it, and, like, you clarify your mind in ways you can't any other way. I realize people go their whole lives, you know, especially, like, maybe you have a blue collar job and you work with your hands. Like, I don't do that. But how do you process what you believe to be true and the way you see the world? And that's a question, I guess. I know that they do.
Yeah.
But for me, the act of writing is like the truest form of doing that. So when you eliminate writing, or you eliminate any output, like a video, where you had to concept it and work through the story of it, I'm more concerned about not the output, like what we're creating in the world, but like what it does to us as in our ability to be like critical thinkers. And like for my kids, how they have original thought, and that's important to them, that it's not just like, oh, well, let me just extract this information from all the regurgitations over time that have happened. How do I separate myself from that and really just have new things come to my own mind from my experiences?
Yeah, I think that's valid questions, valid concerns, because I mean, you see so many school districts and stuff are implementing AI, and they have like AI tutors and stuff. And so I think it really kind of depends, again, like how it's used.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
I think so many times, like, you see like kids in college these days, like, oh yeah, like I definitely use like AI to help me write this. And it's like, I remember like sitting in the library, writing a paper like the night before it's due, just like sweating it out, just like pouring through books, you know? And it's like what you said, it's like what it does to us, not necessarily the output. I mean, you definitely learn a lot, right? Because not only you're cramming, I'm like reading through like Nietzsche and Machiavelli and stuff is political science. So super fun, like Western political thought. But also I'm like, I never want to do this again. And so I'm going to plan ahead, you know, it's like it's like not even like the intended lesson, but
I'm
like,
fine with AI tools. You know, like I definitely don't want to portray at this moment that I'm like any absolutist and like we shouldn't have AI. I'm like, we 100% should, like the efficiency that AI gives me. But I've learned these things. Like I have the decision making that I can look at it and say, yeah, that's not good enough. That's not right. That's not accurate. That's not what I'm trying to say. Where, I don't know.
It's like if you rely too much on that sooner or later.
I'm worried about my kids being like, well, yeah, they said it's right. So I think just as long as education can keep hold of that, the moments of friction like throughout, I think, and I've heard, right, like, well, they just have to do more. Like they're going to be required to do more things. I don't know.
Like, that sounds exhausting.
I got
for a
an
kid.
ad. I got an ad the other day. It was so fascinating to me. It was a woman that is building like an education program where you do your schoolwork in half the day and you spend the other half of the day like learning how to build a fire and like sell chickens and like very like light, like hands-on
like kind
life
of pragmatic skills.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I was like, listen, now I can get behind that.
Well, see, yeah, I feel like that's kind of like a homeschooling approach where I've seen some people do that, where it's like, all right, so like this month we learned about the Revolutionary War, and so like since we have the time, you don't have to be in like school, we can go back east and like visit like Valley Forge and Independence Hall and stuff like that, and like kind of learn about those things in parallel and actually be there. And so I like that kind of hybrid approach.
Yeah,
but
same.
But yeah. Well, Catherine, it's been a pleasure. It's been awesome. And like we blazed through our time. It is almost 3:30. But yeah, Catherine, executive editor of Utah Business. Is there anything you'd like to share with the fans before we sign off?
I guess all I'll just say is, man, I love business because I love people, and business is full of emotion. Like I realize I'm like a woman approaching business, and like women are more like see things from an emotional lens. Males see that too, but like I think that's been kind of true for me, and that's why, and our business community is so just full of incredible stories of people achieving, and it's so human. It's so human, the struggle that people experience through business. It takes most of your life, right? Yeah. Like that you're working and you're striving. And so it's great to see it means something beyond I'm making money. It's I'm developing through this, which is why like the thing I love most about what we focus on and write about and why I love business. I'm like, I just shared like my growth. Like I grew so much through my business, becoming more of who I think like I'm meant to be through it. And anyway, so I'm just super grateful to be in a really cool business community, that and be able to look into those things. And I hope it holds through AI, and that continues to be something that really is valuable and matters to people to learn from each other's, like rags to riches kind of stories. So
awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for joining me.
Cheers.
Yeah. Got a cheers, right?
Yeah, we got a cheers.